Okay, I'm going to call this meeting of the Compensation Committee to order today on June 10th at 1 p.m. Could we have a roll call, please, China?
Susan Hildred.
Here.
Leanne Hamachi.
Here.
Nace Ruvovo.
Here.
Nan Warren.
Here.
Attendance is taken.
Okay, now we're going to ask for approval of the regular meeting minutes of April 22nd. I have no new changes, and I think Leanne also. Leanne, were you there? No, you weren't. So am I the only one?
From the previous
Yeah,
committee,
okay.
yes, you are.
All right, I'm the only long-standing member. So there are no changes, and we'll approve those as accepted. So now we'd like to elect a vice chair of the committee. And although I know the chair doesn't usually make nominations, I would like to nominate Nan Warren as vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Nace Rugolo seconds. All in favor, we can just say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. China, is there anyone in the member forum?
There is no member forum today.
Okay, thank you. So, Arnold, welcome. We'd love to hear your staff report, and here is your newly constituted compensation committee.
Yes.
For 26-27, when I think we're all interested in some of these possible increase numbers. But please
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Susan, and welcome to the new members to the Compensation Committee. I think the order in the agenda is different, right? I think I have the CMS design and process.
Number 6 is staff report.
Staff report, right? So we'll start with that then. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen so you can all see that there. Okay. Okay, normally at every compensation meeting, I start with the staff report, and I do provide with information on the number of our employees that we have year to date. So this is from January 2026 all the way through May. I didn't include the first week of June. I'll include that in our next meeting. So far our head count is 271 employees. Our average number of employees normally is around 255 to 60. But sometimes we go a little higher due to recruiting for some part-time on-call employees that will support the golf course. Some they are the range workers, and we do also try to recruit for some part-time on-call lifeguards. And that's why our number goes up as well. Since the beginning of the year, we have hired 24 employees and we have lost 16 employees. And the reasons for separation of those employees are due to different reasons. The majority of them are due to retirement. That's included on those 16 employees that were separated from Rosmer. Our growth rate is 3% and our turnover rate is 6%, which is really good. Normally, I mean, other years I've seen that the turnover rate by now or by this time, it's around 12 or 15%.
This is wow.
6% is pretty good, yeah.
But when you say growth rate, what does that mean?
That the growth rate, and I'm going to put that in there so you can see the little, no, that's the issue there. Normally, it's the number of employees that we have recruited from the beginning of the year and that we have retained compared to last year.
Okay.
There is a formula in there that applies there. Average tenure at 7.8, that has dropped compared to last year, and I'm going to show you the numbers on the next page. And again, the reason is a lot of our employees are retiring. Our most senior employees are retiring. That's why the average tenure has decreased as well. Out of the 271 employees, you can see there the breakdown that we have a total of regular full-time employees, non-represented by the union. There's a total of 127 employees. That is 45.5% of the total number of employees that we have in Rosmer. Union employees that are also full-time employees are 83. So the combination is 210. That's 31.10% of all the employees. We have 54 part-time on-call employees. Again, those are range workers. We do have some lifeguards. And we also have regular part-time employees. Those are 5 employees. And we also have 2 seasonal employees that they normally come work during the summer, then they leave, go back to college, and they come back. You can see the pie chart there, so you can see the difference between regular full-time, union, part-time, part-time employees.
Could you tell us, Arnold, where the lifeguards might fall in this chart?
The lifeguards fall under, they're gonna fall, we do have budgeted for regular full-time employees for lifeguards, and
Oh, right.
also they are gonna fall under part-time, part-time on-call employees.
Okay.
And these are the numbers from last year. So you see this year we have 271 employees. Last year by this time, we only had 261 employees. We hired 22, we separated 17. The growth rate last year was 2.0%, and the turnover rate was 6.5, which year to date, 2026 is only 6%. And you can see the average tenure number, it's 8.4, compared to this year's number, which is 7.8. So it's decreased there. And same thing, you can see the breakdown there for 2025, and the pie chart is there as well. Any questions on that? Okay. So the next one I'm going to be showing you, there's a different chart that it shows generations. We do have, we do have different generations. We have baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, and Gen Zs. So the first column right here, so that's 2026. I'm going to start from 2022. So you can see baby boomers, which is the blue one. In 2022, we had 92. So as you can see, this trend has been decreasing. It went down to 88, 75, 68. Right now, we only have 62 that fall under that generation, baby boomers. And then the opposite, you can see the Gen X. In 2022, we had 85, and it's been increasing now, right? 100, 104, all the way up to 2026. Year to date, we're 116. So we can see that the majority of our employees are there from the Generation X. And of course, we have the millennials. I think the green color is behind the red one. So we started at 34, and that's also been increasing all the way up to 49. Gen Zs, it's still almost the same, 34, 36, drops, keeps going up, and then again, I think we're there at 38. The number didn't show up well. So, but you can see the pattern in there that there's more baby boomers retiring, and then the number of Gen X employees are increasing. So that also helps us to identify, how many employees we're gonna be probably losing in the next year, or by checking those numbers. Any questions?
So does that affect hiring rates, the different age groups? They have different interests, or do you notice anything like that?
The majority, we have a lot of tenure employees here. And a lot of those employees that are retiring right now, those are employees that also they're part of the union. And one of the reasons why they do retire also at an early age, it's because they do have a pension. They reach a certain amount of years being with the union, so they're vested to their pension, and they reach a limit and they can retire sooner. And those are the positions that we keep replacing and right away. Of course, there are other positions, non-represented employees that they are still here. Even they don't even have to retire early, but they are still working. Yeah.
And then at what point, I heard that the millennials weren't staying as long as other employees. Is that still true? Or?
That's, I think, typical with them, where they go from one job to another one, and then they look for new opportunities as well. It's, from what I've done some research, employees, they test different places. If they feel that there is opportunities for them to grow within one organization, they're going to stay, yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's still sort of true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's it with the staff report. And then next, I'm going to be talking about our compensation management structure, especially for all new members to the committee. So since 2017, the main thing it says in there, I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. So Rosemary Walnut Creek relies upon the skills and abilities of its employees to create a superior living experience for the residents of Rosemary. In order to attract and retain competent and experienced employees, RWC offers them competitive compensation and benefits in a congenial work environment. RWC's strategy is to focus on maximizing financial efficiency. By relying primarily on experienced employees, total compensation costs can be controlled while it's still positioning RWC to provide superior levels of services and cooperation in order to meet the residents' demand. So I do have a tool which is called ERI, which is the Economic Research Institute, that does provide me with salary information for all different positions here in Rosemary. That tool does compare different salaries with the market around our area, the San Francisco Bay Area, San Jose, Hayward, the county, and it also depends on the size of our organization and our demographics and where we're located. I do normally get the median salary for each position that we are gonna be hiring, and then from the median number that we get, we do create our bands for posting and for us to be able to move employees within that band. The band is structured this way, where from the median, we do 90% from the median to get the floor. And then we do 120% from the median to get the cap. And that's our salary band for most of the positions. That's how it's been established since, it's been there since 2011, and the ERI tool that I use, we've had it for more than 10 years, I think already, or since 2020, sorry.
Arnold, could you say again, how do you create the floor or the beginning of the band?
Yeah, so let's say I'm gonna be recruiting for an accounting technician, right? I'm just making up a number. So the tool that I use is gonna give me an annual salary range.
Right.
So I might say, okay, we're gonna pay $50,000 a year for that position. From that number, I get the floor, which is the minimum, which is 90% from the median.
Oh,
So 90% from the median, that would be 45.
90% below what you're considering as the
Correct.
median. Oh,
So
okay.
that would be the floor, and then the cap or the max for that position, for that specific job title, is gonna be 120% from the median, from 50. So then we get the floor and the cap.
So that's a 30% range from Florida's.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there are other organizations that they do by quartiles. They can do 25, 50%, 75%, 90%, and then go something to 100%. So, but this has been working out perfect for us. And every year, it doesn't mean that every year I'm gonna have to go into the compensation tool and, based on cost of living, labor market. I don't audit every single position every year, but what we do is every year, so let's say for 2027, I already have the floor and the band for this specific position. So next year, what I'm gonna do, I use the World at Work percentage number, and I apply that number to the floor and the cap. And that's how I increase the bands for the following year. So let's say the World Work percentage number is gonna be 3%. So I would increase for 2027, the floor by 3%, and then I would increase also the cap by 3%. And that number is really important for me to know because let's say, and we're gonna discuss about the CPI number, that's the number that we use for increasing our wages. Let's say an employee is close to the floor, correct, the minimum pay. And the CPI, let's say, comes up to 2%. And the World at Work market is telling me to increase my floor, the band at 3%, so there is gonna be a 1% gap in there. And that's where we apply the merit market pool to bring those employees that fall below the floor, to bring them up to at least the floor. So and then I'll talk more about that on the next line items. Any questions so far on that?
Just real quick,
Yeah.
the tool that you use for the annual adjustments is the say that again?
World at Work.
World at Work, so is that provided by
That's
ERI? or
nationwide.
that's separate?
It's a nationwide, that they do just focus on labor market. How it's gonna be affecting, yeah.
Okay.
Then this other one is our benefits strategy and guidance philosophy, our mission statement. Again, this was, okay, was created and approved back in May 2021. We can always revise this. If you see that it's still, it's accurate, we can keep it, we can always update that. So GRF DBA Rosemont Walnut Creek strives to offer a comprehensive benefit package for employees not covered by the collective bargaining agreement. The focus of the committee's efforts is to attract and retain quality talent while continuing to offer plan choices to employees for meeting their individual and dependent health and welfare needs. This is accomplished by managing costs, plan designs, and sustainability. Some of the guiding principles. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Oops. RWC's benefits will be developed with a focus on offering choices and flexibility to support our employees' welfare needs and the health and welfare of their dependents. RWC will ensure the sustainability of our benefits programs by managing cost increases to affordable levels. Also, RWC will provide appropriate tools and education to allow employees and their dependents to determine planned costs and services covered when making their health and welfare choices. Also manages carriers and partners based on market competitive rates, practices, and services. And RWC will administer its benefits strategy with a balanced perspective between RWC operating objectives and recognizing workforce acquisition and retention needs. If this is still okay, so we can keep it the same, or again, we can always revise it. Okay. That's pretty much it on the staff report and a little bit of background on the compensation philosophy.
Okay, any questions on that?
I have a question. Excuse me. The non-union employees are inside the 401ks.
That is correct.
Okay. How do you determine the amount of contribution that the RWC should make towards the 401ks?
So that is, Jeff, you can correct there, but the employer is being contributing 3% to all non-represented employees towards their 401k,
Right.
which or the carrier that manages our 401k is Empower. Then employees can also contribute another 2%. They can contribute any amount. But then if they decide to contribute an additional 2% or just 2%, so the employer will also match up that other 2%, meaning that employer will be contributing towards their 401k at 5%. We can always discuss other numbers because a lot of employees or people looking out for jobs, they also go after some of the other benefits. Is 3% enough? I mean, is that a good, benefit compared to the market? Should we offer them more? That's also something that can be discussed internally among this committee.
When did you adopt the 3% as the initial contribution, which, as I understand, could go up to 5% if the employee contributed 2%?
Correct, yes. So, and
2010 or 2009, when the board froze the pension at the time, and then new employees were eligible for the automatic 3% and then the additional matching of
the 2%. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, we don't have any unfinished business, but we do have some new business. So discussion of the 2027 base wage increase and the CPIU.
Correct. Okay, so a little bit of history. As you can see there, I don't think I included this in the packet, but I can share this with you. Normally what we do, and this is something that has been happening since 2017, we do adopt the CPIU from the San Francisco Bay Area, the number that comes up in April. As you can see there, since 2017, the April CPI number was 3.8%. And okay, you can see, you will see two different columns in there, right? One is the CPI and the other one is the ECI. What's the difference between the two of them? The CPI measures cost of living, goods and services. And the ECI measures actual labor costs, wages and salaries, and total compensation as well. So there's the difference there. One is driven by the labor market, the other one is driven by the services and goods and services. But it was adopted for GRF at the time to use the CPI and the number that comes up in April. In 2017, again, the number has been 3.8% compared to the ECI, which was 3.3%. And then you can see there is a trend there. That in 2020, in April, the CPI number came up to 1.1%, and that was during COVID. I think that was, and I'm gonna go to the bottom
That was
really quick.
COVID.
That
COVID,
was
yeah.
during COVID, and then that was the only year where the board, there was nothing approved for employees, except for the represented employees, which are the union members.
Why was 2025 so low?
Yep, that was last year.
Yeah, we had a big discussion.
We had a big discussion last year, so we saw that number, it was 1.3% in April. So as a committee, we decided to wait for the next number that comes up in June, and I don't get that number until July. Normally it's mid-July, the following month, that they will provide that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, the committee was very hesitant to go ahead with 1.3 because it was so drastically.
1.5, yeah, the three, we just thought it was way too low.
Yeah, so we waited, we thought it was gonna go a little bit higher, but it went up by 0.2% only, which was 1.5. Comparing again with the labor market was still increasing by 3.5%. So you can see there that labor market is a completely different thing from the CPI. And the board decided to approve a 2.5% increase for employees for 2027. So I think that's been the only year in all those years that you see there where we didn't follow the CPI number from April.
Did we ever determine why it did that?
Why,
The low anomaly of 1 point, whatever it was.
Oh, the number that came up, I mean, it was, I think it was last year with everything that was going on with the tariffs and everything, like that's what drives those numbers, yes.
So if you use these numbers in the April numbers, when do you adjust salaries?
So they apply for the following year in January 1st, 2027, for the following year. And the reason I think why we were using the April number is so we're ready for budget.
Oh, okay.
And so we need to have that number in advance, yes. And now, as you can see, the number for 2026 is already came up and it's at 3.8%. And it's also it's equal right now as the ECI number, which is the one that drives the labor cost. Both are at 3.8%. And that's what I have put in there for discussing the 2027 base wage increase based on the April CPI number.
So did we make a board decision to always use CPI, or at times could we, I mean, we wanted to be consistent with CPI year to year,
Correct.
but would we ever go back to ECI for
Did we ever use the ECI in the past? or-
we haven't used that. The board's been very consistent in using the CPIU. And you can see that the numbers fluctuate slightly. It is really, there's no hard and fast rule
we
that
never
says
made
you
it that
have
hard.
to. It's just been part of the compensation management kind of overall philosophy that we would keep pace by using the CPIU.
I feel like it should be consistent personally, yeah.
Yeah. Then you can see that's the actually website where I get the number from, Bureau of Labor Statistics. So it will tell you the trends from 2022 all the way to 2025, and that's the number from April. This number comes up every 2 months, and in February was 2.5. You can see there last year, it was 2.7, then it went up to 1.3, 1.5. In August, that's when it went up to 2.5, and October was the only, there was some reason that they didn't even calculate the number, they were not able to get that number. And that's the number that we're using. And then you can also see here, this is the different, this is for the ECI. Then here you can see we are San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland, and then you can see the difference between the numbers here. One is total compensation and the other one is wages and salaries. There's two different numbers for ECI. And the one for, where's it, December 2026, it already dropped. Just total compensation is 3.8%. And the other wages and salaries is 4%. So there also the ECI has two different, they do calculate labor cost differently. You see the 3.8% there. That is the total compensation, which includes wages and salaries, but also benefits, which include the medical, dental, which all different type of benefits. And if I just want to, let's say, use wages and salaries, the ECI actually is at 4%. But again, we're sticking with our regular CPIU number of 3.8%.
Are you ready for a motion?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I was just, yes, I'm looking at this and thinking, we probably should make a motion because I think we want to use the April number this year.
Right.
But we have
No,
this
what- yeah.
recommendation that staff has suggested and could we get a motion regarding using the 3.8% CPIU?
So move.
Okay.
Full motion.
Oh, Nan, could you state, you might want to read what's on here, recommending to the,
This committee recommends to the Board of Directors the use of the CPIU index for the San Francisco Bay Area in determining the amount to be budgeted for staff wage actions in 2027. The rate of increase is based on this index for the month ending April 2026 is 3.8%.
do we have a second?
I'll say.
Okay, so Nan's moved and Leanne has seconded this recommendation for 3.8% CPI increase. And I think we should probably have a roll call on that one. China, you're okay with that?
I'm perfectly fine. Hildred,
Yes?
Kamaji,
Yes?
Rubobo,
Overall.
Ruvalo, thank you. And
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Motion carries, it's unanimously approved.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody. That's, it's gonna impact the budget. It's important to do this. I know it's just, okay, well then I think we are ready. Are we ready to go on to discuss? Are there any other questions or we'll go on to the discussion of the 2027 merit market pool?
Correct. Yes, so a little bit of a background. So a significant purpose for the merit market adjustment pool is used primarily in performance and merit recognition. Every year we do request the board also to approve a certain amount of money for to cover these performance and merit recognitions. It is also used to catch up, again, as I mentioned, when employees fall below the floor, or we need to conduct some specific studies for those hard to fill positions. We may have to increase the bands, and that money comes out of the merit market pool as well. This alignment ensures that both, yes, base wage budget and merit market pool moves in tandem with prevailing cost of living and labor market conditions in the San Francisco Bay Area, maintaining the organization's ability to attract, retain, and reward high performer employees. Last year, the board approved $115,000 for the merit market pool. This year, the request is to increase that merit market pool by the same percentage number that we are using for the increase on the wages, by the 3.8%.
Oh, okay.
So that adds up, it's 119,600, but it just rounded it up to 120.
So just for our new members, and also even for myself, I know that sometimes I get confused about this merit market pool. Does everybody understand that?
No.
So maybe you would give a couple of examples, or Jeff talk about that a little bit and how that's used to help modify the salaries that are out of whack. That's too simplistic an explanation, but
So on an annual basis, we do performance evaluations for all of our staff members. We go through a process where they do a self-evaluation and they meet with their manager, and the manager does an evaluation. And we use that to kind of gauge where people are performing. Those that are at a certain level are eligible for recognition in the merit market pool. And typically, this is it's a one-time award of a monetary amount that we use this fund to recognize those employees. We then also, as Arnold mentioned, in that floor and ceiling, as that's adjusted on an annual basis, if an employee falls below the floor of their salary band, we utilize these resources to bring them up to at least the floor. And that happens quite a bit because not every position moves at the same rate. We also do classification studies on occasion. So if we're having a real hard time filling accountant positions, and we discover that the demand for accountants has moved the market significantly for that position, we may use these resources to adjust the floor and band from what was approved in the base budget. So it kind of tackles a number of different options. We use it somewhat throughout the year to make adjustments and recognitions as needed.
So how do you, if you're at the floor and a couple of years have gone by and you've done well, you should be getting an increase up to the ceiling perhaps. And how does that get, I don't understand where the money comes for that.
So the ceiling and the floor for a position is constantly kind of moving based on what was the index for World at Work. So that may go up, say 3% for positions. So we adjusted that year by 3%, the floor and the ceiling. An employee that is hired at say the median or a little below the median, and the CPIU is only 1%, that floor might be moving up quicker than their adjustments in cost of living. So then at some point, they may find themselves below the floor of their position. That's when we would use this merit market pool to adjust that classification so they are no longer at the floor. They're at least at the...
Or it can be the other way around as well. Let's say the CPI number is higher than the World at Work index number. So that's gonna surpass, so employees probably are gonna reach the cap faster. So as soon as an employee reaches the cap, so we cannot keep increasing their base, but we do provide them the incentive base as a lump sum. So we need to keep them at the cap at least.
It's a good tool to make sure that longevity doesn't mean that we have employees that are way above what the market bears for their position. It keeps us in a pretty steady range of the desired target.
And is there a provision for a spot bonus?
That also kind of comes out of here, where if an employee during the merit market time, or they during the year complete a project that results in significant savings or an improvement to a process, we can recognize those employees with a spot bonus or recognition.
And on the opposite end, what happens to the low performing employee? Like, do they get that CPI?
So they would not be eligible if they score below a certain level, and then we would work with them through
Performance improvement plan
performance
or-
improvement to help bring them up.
And then when they meet the requirements, they are out of the PIP or the PMP, we call it performance development or improvement plan, then at that point, they may receive the increase as well.
All right. And then the market pool, how do you approve that? Like, does each department get told you can hand out 4 market pool adjustments, or how does that work?
We don't necessarily go by, each department gets allocated a certain amounts. The managers and department heads make recommendations based on their different staff's performance. And then we put that all in one spreadsheet to make sure that we're pretty much aligned. So I don't get one department handing out $5,000 checks and another handing out $50 checks. We try and make sure it's.
Because managers would have a different bar, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Any other questions?
Yeah, any other questions on this? Just as a bit of background, last year we spent a lot of time discussing this because I think initially because even regarding the concern for the low CPI, the staff had recommended a higher pool
Oh,
amount.
it was a higher due to
Yeah.
that 1.3%.
Yeah, right, for the merit/market. It's interesting, 'cause when you think about that merit market, it's 2 separate activities, functions that this fund is providing. But, and we were able to reach the 115. So I think the recommendation of the 120 is reasonable, given the 3.8 increase. But are there any other questions on this? So seeing no other questions, could we have a recommendation to the board regarding setting the amount for the merit market pool? I think somebody would need to read the full. Do you want to do that, Ann?
Certainly.
Okay.
I recommend to the Board of Directors an amount to be determined by the committee that would establish an adequate merit market adjustment pool to be used to recognize exemplary staff performance and/or adjustments to wages as needed as driven by changes in the job market demands. Enough?
I think we need to say that we're recommending the.
We're recommending a merit pool in the amount of $120,000, which is an increase of $5,000 over the amount approved in 2026.
Is that sufficient, folks? Okay, could we have a second? All right, Nate seconds that. We'll have a roll call on the merit market pool of $120,000.
Hildreth,
Yes.
Malatchi,
Yes?
Blow,
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Okay,
Motion carries.
thank you very much. So we are on to the next item regarding our general manager's compensation.
Yep. So the next topic is gonna be the review of the general manager's compensation. Her employment contract held by the general manager with RWC. Compensation changes are the discretion of the board. The contract also calls for an annual performance review, reviewed by the board to determine the actual amount of any salary increases for the general manager. And the recommendation is also to increase the general manager's amount.
Man, excuse me.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jeff, I should have asked you to explain yourself.
Yes. So to be the same percentage amount by that we do recommend for our regular employees, GRF employees, or RWC employees.
So just so everyone understands what we're doing, and Leanne, please jump in. We're recommending for budget purposes that we are slotting an amount for Jeff's salary that is equal to his current salary raised by 3.8%. So, so that's what we would use for budgeting purposes. It does not preclude us in an annual review process that the board will conduct with Jeff to have an additional bonus amount. But we, for budgeting purposes, we apply the COLA we'd agreed upon to his salary.
Correct. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Very
And
true.
I'll just add, last year,
We got.
you and I talked about keeping that, that CPIU for him, or general manager position, is equal with what other
With
other
what other
employees get.
employees get,
So it
correct.
Right,
stays,
yeah.
keeps everything parallel, so.
Right.
Yep.
So I know you had some more information here, Arnold. Do you want to share
Yeah.
anything, or is
So,
everybody?
I mean, this
read it
is
sufficiently?
public information. It's nothing that I can, like not share. So current wages are, I mean, the current annual salary from the general manager is $315.
Yeah.
And the medium, I mean, I can share the bands. So you can see there that the floor for his position is $294 and the cap is $392. And the medium is $326. So right now his current salary is below the medium. So that's what it says there. It sits like close to $12,000 below the medium. And that's why we are recommending to increase also the 3.8% that aligns with the regular employees. That would bring him up close to the median for next year.
So the action we're looking for is that we recommend to the board that the increase for the general manager be consistent with at the 3.8%. This doesn't necessarily mean in the action to the board that we have to specify the amount.
No, just by 3.8%.
Okay.
The percentage number is fine.
Okay, and not that it's not, not to be transparent, it'll be in the budget, but
It will
I'd
be,
rather
yes.
just, yeah. So can we have a motion to recommend to the board of directors?
So this committee recommends to the Board of Directors that funds be allocated in the 2027 budget to allow for an increase in the general manager wages that is consistent with a percentage increase approved for all other RWC employees at 3.8%.
Okay, thank you, Nan. Do we have a second? Nays, seconds. Let's have a roll call vote on that. China?
Hildreth,
Yes?
Hamaji,
Yes.
Ruvalo,
Yes.
and Warren.
Yes.
All right, that passes. So now we have our charter and preliminary overview from Deborah, correct?
Yeah,
If you could stop and share.
of course.
Okay, so the Compensation Committee Charter Overview, I'll be reviewing responsibilities and compliance. So the purpose and responsibilities, you are advisory in nature to the board in the matters pertaining to compensation and benefits provided to RWC employees. You're supporting RWC's HR policy and collective bargaining agreements in the areas of compensation, benefits, public policies, and employment law. Regular reporting to the RWC board on committee activities and recommendations. And the importance of following your charter serves as a foundational document which outlines your purpose, your scope, authority, and procedures. This aligns with legal and governance standards of the Brown Act and corporations codes. This ensures transparency and public involvement in meetings, local legislative bodies, and specific rules regarding the governance of advisory committees. This is all in line. And adhering to the charter also ensures all committee activities align with the established regulations, promotes transparency and accountability, facilitates orderly and efficient meetings, and enhances stakeholder trust and participation. So following the charter really helps maintain that consistency and adherence to legal standards, ensuring the committee operates within its defined scope. Any questions about your charter? Nope, okay. You guys are making it so easy. And then I am going to review a very basic overview of parliamentarian procedure and adhering to committee agenda format and publishing. So, introduction to Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedures. You'll learn some basic principles for these, and when remembered, the meetings will run more smoothly and business will take place. So why do we use parliamentarian procedure? Well, one reason, it's required by our RWC bylaws. It's also to facilitate the transaction of business, to promote cooperation and harmony, and to ensure that all members have equal rights, privileges, and obligations. And to ensure the majority has the right to decide, but the minority has rights which must be protected as well. So the role of the chair through the Robert's Rules of Order really is to call the meeting to order. They maintain order and decorum and ensure adherence to the agenda, and it then adjourns the meeting. So decorum in the meeting, so just the basics is when you're addressing the chair, you use chair and speak only when recognized. You may debate guidelines, focus on the subject, not on the person. And this is really important when you're having a tense discussion about a topic. Don't project that the person, really project on the discussion of the subject. Respectful language only. And all of you have already shown that you're capable of doing that. Making motions. It's really easy. You obtain the floor by raising your hand or voicing your interest in obtaining that floor. State the motion clearly. It does require a second, and then it's open to the floor for debate. A committee or body may only consider one primary question at a time. Certainly, if during discussion you feel like an alternate or secondary motion needs to vary with this primary motion, you need to conclude that particular business until the primary motion has been disposed of, passed, failed, or referred, or withdrawn, etc. So amending a motion. So it's really easy. You've got three options really to amend a motion. An amendment is to strike out a word. An amendment can add a word or insert it, or both, striking out and adding words. This is really important for motions that are quite lengthy or a topic similar to something like the policy committee often works with. Common mistakes using so moved to make a motion. Please use I move that and state that full motion so we can get it on record so that readers and those over Zoom or in person understand what action is being taken that day. And believe it or not, Robert's Rules of Order does have an order of business for committees to follow. And this is really the structure that we produce on Assembly in our meetings. It's call to order, approval of minutes, the members' forum, records, and reports from officers or committees, then unfinished, then new, and then adjournment. So that's just the basic order of business. Now I'm just going to touch on a slightly different topic, and it's about the publishing and making public the committee agendas and the agenda item information. So to ensure compliance with RWC policies, legal standards, and to maintain transparency, it is essential that committee agendas are published for public review and that all meeting agendas are included in advance. So legally, we are required to publish agendas 4 days prior to the meetings. And this is in line with Davis Sterling, California Corporation Code, so all these codes. The Brown Act, Robert's Rules of Order, and our bylaws.
Those are business or calendar days?
It is calendar days.
Yeah.
So it includes weekends, so it's not just
Yeah,
business
that's
days.
Right. That's what I thought.
So these are some policies that are making note that we need to be transparent, not only to the committee members, right? The committee members want advance notice of the meetings, but also the public. So we have a policy 201.1, advance notice of meetings. This policy mandates a summary of the proposed agenda, not necessarily the contents, right? Are immediately made clear and public and transparent. So you may have the line item discussion, but maybe the contents are provided at or after the meeting.
I don't understand
Oh, sure.
how 201.1 relates to the legal requirement that 4 calendar days before the meeting, the formal agenda is.
So this policy mandates a summary of the proposed agendas and regular meetings be published in advance. And the other rule for civil code and Davis Sterling for our legal counsel is 4 days prior. I don't have that written down here. But this is our RWC policy for the policy committee. They established this advance notice of meetings, and it's really it aligns with a lot of our legal requirements.
The problem is that you're not going to have announcements of the meeting consistently published in the Rossmore News if the agenda is not due until 4 calendar days.
So that is a public facing web agenda site. So Assembly is open to the public. You don't need a login to log in, and the public is aware. This is how you obtain the meeting agenda items. And our meetings are posted in the Rossmore News of the dates and times.
Okay.
With the Assembly link.
Sorry?
Yes,
The meeting times, yeah, okay.
and the
not
link to
agenda.
the meetings, and
Gotcha.
it's on the agendas themselves. So, yeah, it's advance notice of
I
meetings.
just want to make sure.
In the most simplistic way possible, letting the public know that this meeting is going to happen, the time, place, and
Yeah.
date.
So if the Rossmore News had some sort of printing delay, the fact that the meeting was publicized on Assembly would
It's
be.
on the website as well, but
Okay.
yeah, in Assembly is a public format. Similar to what the mutuals do for their paper agenda posting in the bulletin board, that's what the function Assembly adheres to.
Okay.
And any other questions? Policy 201.4, open committee meetings. This is to allow public individuals to come in, Rossmore residents, to come into these meetings and use the source of member forum. And so our agendas have line items for topics of discussion, but member forum is one of the line items that pauses for that interaction with the public. And then corporations code requires that public notice of meetings be given to ensure all stakeholders have the opportunity to attend and participate. That's on the website, that's in the newspaper, and that's on Assembly. The Brown Act mandates that local legislative bodies such as the committee or the board conduct meetings openly, providing advance notice of these meetings and agendas. This ensures that same transparency. So notices and agendas for regular meetings must be posted in advance in an accessible location, like Assembly, and mailed to individuals who request the notice.
Could we go back to that for just 1 second, Deborah? So are there individuals who have asked for, oh.
I do get asked for a copy of the agenda, a printout, and they come by my office and they pick it up. Sometimes they want the full packet. And so I'll print not only the agenda, but the full supportive materials that come with the full packet. But I've never been asked for a mailing
Like a
I do
standard
email,
request,
I
yeah.
do email a lot of people. It's more email,
Mhm.
not so much snail mail
Okay.
anymore.
Okay.
And then according to Robert's Rules of Order, only items listed on the agenda can be discussed during the meeting. This is very important. And this really helps the committee stay focused. You may get during member forum, maybe a topic that's not on the agenda, so you can't really address it because only topics on the agenda can be discussed. However, you can absolutely add it to the next meeting agenda for full public discussion. So this keeps meetings orderly, focused, and ensure that all members have the opportunity to prepare for the topics to be addressed, and that's both the committee and the public. So our bylaws specifically require that agenda items also be publicly. So you're gonna find through all of these rules and requirements, they all want to make sure everyone has due transparency. So strict agenda adherence, and I'm going around to all of the committees, the newly formed committees, both this month and the resident advisory committees next month, because really handling of business on the agenda is a very sensitive topic. So items not on the agenda cannot be discussed. If there are no items for discussion on the agenda, such as if there's no unfinished business, there's no new business, that only means that you can discuss, is there any items for discussion for next month, and we'll get it on the agenda. So you can't just make up a discussion on the fly.
So an example of that would be at the policy meeting, one of the members forum was talking about the lack of lifeguards at Hillside Pool. And that had nothing to do with the agenda, so even if we wanted to, we couldn't call that in for discussion.
Correct. And really, it's about an education, right? And it's okay if you want to mention this committee, right, is its purpose and its goals, its charter, its scope of authority is really to focus on RWC policies, procedures, and rules as provided by the board's direction. Or by resident involvement, but the Aquatics and Fitness Committee is really where you should address your concerns, or with Ann Matola, the Director of Community Services. And you can absolutely say that or mention that at any time, you know, just to help understand that this is what your scope is for this committee.
With regard to this committee, I wanted to have a little briefing on benefits, and is that something we can put on next month's?
That is between the chair and the staff liaison. So anytime you guys want to add anything to the agenda or are interested in learning more about it, just talk to Susan and we'll get that on the agenda.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that'll be fine. I don't mean to go off your presentation.
No, I'm
but
done.
That'll be fine to do that. And I also think that in the upcoming months, if it's not next month, we begin to get information from our insurance coverage brokers about the anticipated policy increases for the benefits we provide. So we can go over the benefits, but we also may have that information.
Yeah, I was gonna try to talk about benefits in this meeting, but I won't get that information until next week. So that's
we'll
why
do that
then I
in
will
July.
have in July. We'll discuss in July.
And I'll just add that we do that in the summer, early and late summer, because we have to have all that lined up for the budget process in September.
Right.
So we need all those, we need everybody to vote on how much we're willing to put forward to this.
Yep.
All right, so you're completed, Deborah?
All right, that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, well then we'll adjourn our meeting today at 1:58 PM. Thank you,
Madam Chair.
everybody.
Thanks,
Yes.
Arnold.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.